Yeah.
Good morning. No, it's not even morning. Look, we're getting off to a great start. Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name's Helen Webster and I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott and our amazing guest today. And you've shortened your name, haven't you, for us?
Vince, yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Vince. Thank you so much for giving your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to apologise straight away. Okay, so I've been in Wackerball Club, had a little chat, looked at my watch and thought, oh my days, legged it home as fast as I could, whizzed up, sent the link out at like 4 minutes to, which normally it's about 1:45. So apologies to Vince. And Vince is very chilled, looks like he's done it all his life. He's just sitting there going, yeah, that's cool. So thank you so much. So we do have a shout out to the kids. Okay, so our very first thing is we shout out to any little people who've done amazing things this week. So San, have you got any little people you'd like to shout out to?
You've got me on the spot. Normally I'm there with this one, aren't I? I'm going to let you go first whilst I have a quick thing.
Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to George. So George has been coming to Wackerball for 3 weeks now. And he keeps on saying he's not very good at it. And he said, I'm not very good. And today he got 32 rallies, like little balls, one after the other. But halfway through, switches hands. So he plays with his left hand. And then when his left hand gets a bit tired, he switches to his right hand. And then he just switches out. And I was like, pretty impressive. So a shout out to George for me.
Ambidextrous.
He is ambidextrous, but he's like super cool with both hands, but doesn't think he's very good, but he's amazing. So yeah.
Well, I have got a shout out now. I've thought about it, and this is dead bad, really. This young lady who I taught before at half fun. Bear in mind, you have an online lesson after school. You know, the kids are shattered. And she was amazing, and she did so well. Anyway, I messaged her mum to tell her what had happened in the lesson and how well she did. And she said after her lesson, she ran to the toilet and vomited. She didn't want to tell you she was sick. And I thought, oh my God.
Poor little sausage.
That's healthy. And her mum's a nurse who now probably thinks I'm a complete idiot. But the kids, she's a vegetarian and she'd had chicken or something today and it made her feel sick, she said. So that was, so I didn't know that. And I know when she did brilliantly, so well done to Olivia from Whittleborough.
Well done, Olivia. Vince, have you got any little people that you want to shout out to?
Yeah. My 2 granddaughters, Holly and Amber.
Doesn't look old enough.
I would give her a granddaughter.
And Amber is doing amazingly well in school, and Holly's doing well in nursery. So,
which school does Amber go
little
to?
angels. You know what? I keep on forgetting the name. They're gonna kill me. It's always there, and then right now I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and you'll remember it when we finish, and that's cool.
I go into the school and do readings of the books.
But I was going to say you probably go to a lot of schools, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Cool.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to ask Vince any questions, you can fire them over in the commenty thing, and then we'll ask it as we go along. Okay, so success this week. What amazing thing has happened to you this week? San, what's happened to you this week?
Well, this may seem very trivial to some people, but for me, it's a major success. So I've been a little bit chilly in the house for the last few days. I still haven't got any pictures and any curtains up or anything. I've just got, so it's still a bit echoey and a bit cool. However, it started to get chilly and I thought, I'm not putting my heating on till October the 1st. I refuse. Anyway, I caved in. So the past 2 days I've been cold of an evening. And then this morning I thought, I've got to put the heating on. So I found out how to put it on. Well, I haven't found out how to put it on in the house. That's not true. But sorry, I moved in a month ago, Vince.
Okay.
He hasn't lived there for like 20 odd years.
Yeah, 25 years. So I found out and I moved the thing. I completely will have done it wrong, all the rest of it, but I don't care. I'm warm at the minute. So I need to get my head. There must be a switch somewhere in the house, but at least the heating's on now. So that's a good thing. And it's warm. So there we are.
Excellent.
You've probably got something dramatic in it. I was invited for an MBE or something. What's your success?
Mine?
Yeah.
It's linked to the books again. It sounds like that's all I do, but it's linked to the books again. Just the publisher took on a book of mine, which I thought was never going to be published. So they love it. I pitched it to them and they love the book.
That's a massive
Yes.
Yeah. And, well, I'll tell you about the book after.
Okay,
Amazing. Oh, that's a lovely news. That's
Oh,
really
it's
good.
great.
That's much more successful than getting your heating on. Well done.
Oh, I don't know.
What about you, Helen?
So my success this week was that we were asked to go to the launch of the Doyle Phillips Foundation. So 2 police officers sadly lost their lives in service. And Jo Moody, who's a good friend, and she's amazing and does loads of fundraising. And the team had set up, and they've done a few races and things like that. Anyway, massive success, and decided to turn it into a foundation. And it's named after the 2 officers, PC Doyle and PC Phillips. And they're there to support the families. And what they've found is that they've done so well and they've raised so much money that they're going to be able to support any families of, tragedy has happened during service. And on Sunday, they did a big fun day launch in Riversdale Police Club. And the sniffer dogs, they had the dogs were there, the police dogs, and they did the shows. And the dogs are like amazing, aren't they? And then the mounted police came, and then, which was amazing, which I've never seen before, the helicopter came. Oh, yeah. So the police helicopter came and he landed and he did a little twirl and he waved to everybody. And all the kids were made, I think the grown-ups were more made up than the kids. Yeah. And he did this like little twirl thing where he did this like little dance in the helicopter. And then he come up backwards, put his siren on and went and shot off. And everyone was like, ah! So yeah, so big shout out to them. So I think that was my success. Yeah, being able to be part of
that. That day was the Chinese dragons, because I loved them.
They had the Chinese dragons there, didn't they, dancing and stuff. They did an amazing job. They did really, really well. Yeah. So big shout out to them.
The imagination games went down a treat with all the little kids. That what you were doing the whack-a-ball, but the imagination games was brilliant with the little ones. I loved that. So we had a great time.
Yeah. So we had a lovely time on Sunday. So that was lovely. Yeah. So Vince is with us tonight. And we don't know a lot about him, but we're going to find out a little bit more about you, Vince. And we're going to ask you this or that, okay? So Sandra's going to ask me and you, and I'm going to ask you and Sandra like this or that. What would you prefer, this or this? Okay. So, San, you go first.
Yeah, okay then. So, writing a book or reading a book?
For me, writing a book. Even though I insist everyone reads the books.
Yes, and I'll insist on reading that book. So I'm going to go reading a book. I'd love to write a book, because I think it'd be quite a cool thing to do. But I think skills-wise, probably just reading books for me. I think you've got to have a lot of patience to write a book.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've like I said, always wanted to write a book. Probably like most people say, I want to write a book. I'd like to write a book and do it. It's getting down to it. And I have a draft of a book, but it's not a nice, it's not the type of thing you do. It's Yes. I drafted that a long time ago, actually. It's all about how to learn a language, techniques to learn a language. And I thought
that was just an idea that you'd had to write a book. I didn't know you'd started it.
Well, I've laid it out. I've planned the chapters and the headings and everything. I've done a draft of the first bit, So because it's something everyone asks me all the time, how do you learn? Is there the easy way? And it's trying to make it accessible to everyone. So there's all different ways. So I need to get that done. But as you realise, I'm chocker at the moment. But it's something that I think it's just some knowledge to share with people that they might like. Even as an ebook, dead cheap or something. So it's, but I'd really want to get that done now. And it was on my goal to get it done this year. And time's running out. So it might have to be next year.
Got a couple of months yet. We've got a couple of months,
A lot on there. But however, reading a book is an absolute joy, isn't it? And I love reading. So it's reading a book for me, definitely. Because writing a book is arduous, hard work.
Yeah. Wow. Well, oh God. Well, so we're learning like loads. Okay. So this or that for me. Okay. Playing sport or watching sport, Vince?
Ooh. Now, sport does Olympics included.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I watch large events more like the Olympics or the World Cup.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't really follow the football, but I watch the World Cup. I don't follow sport, but I watch the Olympics. So
Amazing.
it's again, it's that big events, world events.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was never good.
What about you, Sam? Oh, that's why you write books.
And I like that as well. What Vince has just said, and we've discussed this before about football, and I've said I love the European Cups and the World Gate and things like that. Because I think it's if you like the world, if you feel part of a global community, you're interested in countries and places abroad, aren't you? And I think that's what it is when people are into the global events, like the Eurovision Song Contest. It's not for the music. It's that the people being there from all over the world. It's just a nice, exactly. I totally get that. 100%. So watching it definitely, because I've never played a football match in my life.
We'll change that.
I went to Scotland and girls weren't allowed to play football there.
Okay.
I'm not bitter about it, then.
Yeah.
I've no coordination anyway, which Ellen will vouch for. So there we go.
So I love all the big sporting events. I love all the world things. I love all of the big, massive competitions in every sport. But playing 100% for me. I'll play any single sport. Anything I'd play. And I've played lots of. I think I've played every sport. The only thing I haven't played is squash. I've never had a game of squash.
I've played
never had a game of squash. Never had a game of squash, which is just random because I played tennis and badminton at quite a high level, and we've just introduced whack-a-ball into the country, but I've never played squash.
No, that's one of the few sports I've done is squash.
There you go. Look at
the old Toxteth Centre. Years ago. It used to be great. Give each other Viking names. We used to give each other Viking names. Like Ragnar and Einar Bloodfist and
amazing. I love that.
Then go for
it. Whack the ball around. Yeah.
And alternative squash club.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Is it you or me?
Me. Cable car or tram, Vince?
Oh, cable cars in Upper Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what's on the mountain. But I do like a tram. I wish that we still had the trams here in Liverpool. Mm-hmm. If they brought them back, that'd be great. I love the European countries which have still got them.
Yeah. They're quite nice, the old-fashioned ones as well.
Yeah, the original ones, where they've looked after them.
Yeah.
I'd go cable car because I think cable car, you're going up on an adventure, aren't you? You're going on a mountain or something. That's dead cool, isn't it? Or you're going skiing or something like that. So I would say, I'd say cable car for me. What about you, San?
I'd say cable car. Definitely. I went on a cable car up the Mont Blanc when I was an au pair in France when I was 16, and it was just one of the most amazing. At that time, I was just like, it was such a cool thing to do. So I like cable cars. So there we go.
Cool.
Vancouver and that.
Right.
Lovely.
Okay. On your toast, jam or marmalade, Vince?
Jam, easily.
What about you, Sam?
I can't stand the rind and marmalade. Oh.
Exactly.
I can't.
100%. Jam, marmalade's dreadful.
You can buy shredless now. You can buy shredless. So you just get like the marmalade taste without the rind. And the fine cut's quite nice.
They put orange on your toast. No. Marmalade comes from malade, which is seasickness, is because they used to give it to the French Navy to stop them being sick. Yeah, that's what. Marmalade, it's that's what it comes from, malade, which is seasick. And that's what they used to give to stop the sailors being seasick, is to give them the orange, and that's where it comes from. And but in Spanish they say mermelada, and it means jam.
Yeah.
And mermelada is Italian, and it means jam. It doesn't mean marmalade. So there you go.
Fountain of knowledge.
I bet you're glad you know me. My God, how
I'll be quoting it.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a jam. I do love jam, but I do love marmalade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love a nice marmalade. Yeah, so I think I'd go marmalade on that on my toast. Yeah.
I suppose I might
Lemon
like it
curd.
now. It's been so many years.
Yeah, it's like a little
Years
treat, a bit of a marmalade. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
on, San.
Lemon curds, the best
Oh,
thing
I
ever.
love lemon curd.
Not on toast.
Not on
Go on,
toast, no.
San. With
Anything.
beans.
Okay. Oh, there was no need for that. That was terrible. I ate baked beans. The thought of them knocks me sick.
Oh, beans are great.
There was a poster of the baked beans. What was it? He had them on his eyebrows. It was disgusting.
So it was a piece of toast. There was a poster and it was a piece of toast, and then had beans for hair, beans for eyebrows, and a beans for a beard, and then they'd made and it was a poster, up on the wall like that. And we were sat in chapter of us with my dad, weren't we? And Sandra was just like facing the poster, going, "Oh my god," and like rubbing her eyebrows. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "He's got beans for his eyebrows." I was like, "It's a piece of toast. Wasn't even a real person."
That was disgusting. I can visualize it completely.
Oh, beans are wonderful.
Yeah. Go on, San. Last one.
Okay. Is it the last one?
Is it you or is it me? I can't remember.
It's me.
No, it's you.
Okay. America or Southeast Asia for to travel to?
Oh,
The US.
Southeast Asia, like Thailand and places like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, not so much America, but it used to be. I used to go to America all the time on my own and go to different cities. And also, that's where my things are done, if you like. The companies that are interested in me are in America. So, yeah. And if I was going to go to like Thailand and places like that, I'd probably go to the Caribbean instead. I was going to beaches and places. So yeah, America.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've not been to either, but I would say South Asia, 100%. Yeah. I don't fancy America, never been to America, and I just don't fancy America. I don't know what. But then sometimes I see it on the telly and I think, oh, those places look dead cool and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's lots of other places in the world I'd rather go to, except for New York. But I can only go to New York when I buy me Louboutins. So yeah. What about you, San?
Well, the US, whilst we regard it as a country, because when I say America, I've been naughty there. I mean the USA. It's so diverse as a country. It's like different countries when you go. Yeah. And like, for example, if you go to the north, like in Maine, the most northerly state on the East Coast, is so different from, say, going to the southern state on that same coast. It's like a different world. The ethos, how they think, it's incredible. And then of course you go in, you go to Louisiana, which is next to Texas, and that's like a different world. Yeah. They're just so different. And then say Seattle again, and they're just so varied. So there's parts of the states I absolutely adore, and parts of the states I won't set foot in.
Same here.
Vince, I was in Hurricane Katrina, and I had quite an eye-opening experience then in Louisiana, etc. That I'd been to the States 1,000 times through my previous job, and I had quite an eye-opening. I was a bit freaked out, to say the least, and put me right off. But likewise, I was treated with such kindness by some people from Texas that was just incredible. So, it's such a diverse country. If I had to pick and choose Southeast Asia, because I have been there, but there's countries I'd like to explore there, and I'd like to go to Indonesia and Malaysia, which I haven't been to. So that for me, really, Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one for me. Yeah. Okay. Fountain pen or biro?
Oh yes, Vince. For a writer, that's a good one, Hal.
You know what? I used to love fountain pens. I used to go to a school called Liverpool Institute, and every now and again they'd give us like fountain pens to use. A very old-fashioned school, and I used to like them, but now I wouldn't be able to use them. I'd be useless. I'd just make a mess. So, and also I don't do cursive. writing anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't done for years, so it's all uppercase. So I suppose a biro fits that better.
Do you know what? I'm absolutely inspired. You've just told me that actually, because a lot of people have really put themselves down. They say, oh, I only write in uppercase. I don't do this. I don't do that.
Yeah.
You're a professional writer.
Yeah.
So that's actually really inspiring. It's like so I was a teacher and I took English as one of my subjects. And I always say to people, you know, Roald Dahl was severely dyslexic and he wrote
he was.
Yeah. And the people, and he's like a prolific writer. So I think it's really inspirational that you say that you don't even write some kit, you just do capitals and all the rest of it. So it just shows you, doesn't it? It doesn't hold you back. And a lot of kids get very hung up on their kids' handwriting. And it's not important. It's just so not important nowadays, because they can, I'm sorry if there's any teachers having a hissy fit right now, but true. It's absolutely
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's you know what it is? It's artistic. If you can do beautiful creative writing, that shows that you've got that kind of artistic side. So lots of kids haven't. So when their writing doesn't match what the other kids in the class who are more creative, well, they shouldn't be judged on it. Like you wouldn't judge someone's artwork in their class just because someone's creative and someone isn't. You know, you wouldn't actually start getting on the case about it and like insisting that they got better at art.
Yeah.
You know, it's and that's case of writing. It does depend on that. It does depend on creativity. I'm creative, but I'm like that.
Yeah, me too.
Get me a biro, uppercase.
Helen, your handwriting's lovely. Mine's dreadful.
So when I was younger, we wrote in fountain pen, and I loved writing in fountain pen, and I had the most beautiful handwriting in fountain pen, and I'm left-handed as well, so it's quite tricky as a left-handed to write in fountain pen because you smudge. But I write upside down, so I write like upside down and back to front, so that me words come and anybody who looks at me goes, oh, how on earth can you write? Because I write sort of upside down. But I absolutely loved it. And then, of course, you stop using it and, your handwriting sort of, and now, I don't write, I just sort of like write now, you know what I mean? And you just tend to not do it. But I do love beautiful handwriting. When you see people who've got handwriting, and I understand, I think if it's words on a page, get them on the page, no matter how. Just get them on the page. But when you see beautiful handwriting, and you see like old letters from, like when people used to write letters to each other in the war and things, they have this beautiful, it is, and it is a bit of art, isn't it? But it's the actual content and the words on the page that matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
So amazing. We've done all this or that. Sandra, you want to introduce Vince?
Yeah, so we've got our fabulous guest today, Vince Cleghorne, who was recommended by our good friend Musa, who said you need to get him on the show. And I was really taken aback because would you like to share how many rejections you had?
Yeah, it was 2,672. It was that, but in the last few days, 2 rejections came in from nearly 2 years ago.
So it's 2006.
You've only just got back.
Wow.
So you're an acclaimed published children's author, aren't you?
Yeah,
and you come from Liverpool 8, is that right?
Yeah.
Where our mate comes from. Great. And so tell us about what you have had published, how you became an author, why you became an author, and how long ago did you start that as your career?
Well, basically, I've always drawn pictures, cartoons, always created characters. And then I started writing screenplays because I wrote a 10-minute screenplay for a competition that was on the next day, and it won. And then the prize was that it got made by Mersey Television, this 10-minute film, and then it went on to win awards in different countries and stuff like that. So that kind of hits me, and I'd always done cartoon stuff anyway. So I started writing cartoon screenplays, and that's what took me to America, trying to push the cartoon screenplays with all the big companies, DreamWorks and Fox and different ones. But every single one of them said, including, I got a top agent over there called Shapiro Lichtman-Stein.
Oh, what a name.
Oh, yeah, I know. And every single company, including the agency, said that we love your stuff and we're going to keep it on file, but you need to make a name for yourself. If someone's going to make a £300 million cartoon feature, people have to know that you've got books or something out there. They've got to know your name because you follow your story. So basically, I mean, I left it for a few years and just got into screenwriting films, you know, live action and stuff like that. And then I just turned back to it. I turned back to doing, I went to the Cannes Film Festival. And when I came back, I went there with a film. And when I came back, it was just that idea of, you know, kids' books and everything I've ever done kind of accumulated to doing kids' books. And I was sitting in the back of a works van, a minibus, and the two guys in front, the two guys who were one driver and the co-driver, they were talking about football, the night before's football game. So I drifted off and started writing on my phone. I started writing a kid's book. And then I put in lots of time doing the images and everything, illustrations and stuff like that. And just started pushing it. And I was convinced that everyone would want it.
And what was it called? What was the
it was called A Crack in the Moon. A Crack in the Moon. It's a lovely story. And you know what? I still haven't actually fully completed it, really. Even though I sent it off, it wasn't to the standard I wanted. But then other books popped into my head and I started doing other books.
And do you have a theme to your books? Is there a character who runs through them, or are they all individual separate stories? Does it just depend what pops into your head?
Yeah, whatever pops into my head. Sometimes I've actually had dreams where I'm waking up and I hear a voice saying the title of the book, and I've already dreamt the whole book. So
isn't that fantastic? That's quite
it's my own voice. It's not like hearing voices. It's not the psychic.
Use a frog in wheels.
Do this book. You're famous.
That's so cool. So how many books have you written now?
Oh, I mean, how many have I published or written?
Written,
I've got about 45, 42, 43.
and it's quite a rare talent to be able to illustrate your own books.
Yeah, well, you know what? I was always able to illustrate, and I'm good at characters. I'm not as good as lots and lots of illustrators out there, but my characters are great characters, you see. The other illustrators may be great at illustration, but making up characters and designing the characters, that's a different thing. If you went to Disney have like thousands of people drawing the characters, but they only have a handful of people who make them up.
Okay.
You know, because that's hard. You're coming up with something that trillions and trillions and trillions of people who have all passed have never come up with.
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? You know, you've got to come up with new and fresh idea, and then you create something and they go, oh, that's like something that's already been, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where does the inspiration for the characters come from?
You know, all different things. I've got a character called Frankenstein, as in not Frankenstein, but style. And it's a man-made monster who just wants to make clothes. Designs clothes. It's a beautiful story, and it's 8 pages long, and it's perfect rhyme. And I was sitting in a youth club working with the little toddlers, and I was saying about Frankenstein, telling the kids, you know, about Frankenstein, the story. And then one of them went, Frankenstein. And I went, no, Frankenstein. If it was Frankenstein, then he would be someone who's either making clothes and looking designer. And then I started thinking, went home and then started writing it. So it was because of a mistake, someone mispronouncing the name.
Something that
And
inspires
that's the way it works. That's the way it works. Usually I don't know where the inspiration comes from at all.
And Vince, which was your first book that you got published?
The first one I got published was, I think it was Bug Soup. Yeah, Book Super it's called, and you know what? It's done amazingly well.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote it, I didn't write it as an educational thing, but for some reason, schools all over the world love it because it drags the kid in to the book, but teaches them a lot at the same time. Who knew?
And
so do you have when you're writing them, do you think to yourself, look, we're like this, son, aren't we? Okay. When you're writing them, do you think, right, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a book that you know, helps with this or helps with that, or do you just go like, well, you know, like Frankenstein is this guy who creates clothes, and so do you take them where they go, or do you have a plan for them?
You know what? When I was writing screenplays, every now and again I would put the yellow note paper with all the scenes and everything like that. With the kids' books, I don't. It's weird. I follow it, so while I'm writing it, I don't know what's happening, and then I get to the end, and then you might be in tears because you didn't know what was coming up.
Oh,
so you're surprised with the end as someone picking your book up.
Wow!
So I never know the end. I never know it. Yeah, I'm usually writing it and I'm thinking, oh God, what's okay? Is there going to be an end? And there always is. It just comes out. You think.
Do you write it, or do you type it, or do you?
Usually I write it. I'll write it on my phone. Usually I'm somewhere else, you see. And
that's a bit cool, isn't it? I just sit down with my phone and I write a book which gets published.
Well, on the phone, I've got each time I get a new phone. Well, obviously I get everything transferred, so the notes. So I've got like how I laid out Book Super first, and really years and years and years ago, all of the first part of Frankenstein and everything. And you start laughing at some of them. You think, oh God, thank God I went back and changed it.
And then, so how did you approach? Did you just like go to big publishers, or did you what did you do? Just go to a list? Because you said it's more in the States.
Yeah, I sent it to. The first thing you have to learn is how to write a query letter, because children's publishers are the worst in the world when it comes to reading your letter, because they actually won't touch your manuscript unless they like what's in your letter. And one tiny thing, if you put something where they said in the subject box, you've got to put their name in uppercase and then your name in lowercase and then the first word out of your book. If you get any of that wrong, the tiniest thing, they won't read the letter. And then they won't read the book. So I started finding the best people around the world to edit the letters. To critique the letters before the book at all, before they look at the book, or anyone looks at it.
That's a job.
So everything was perfect when it was sent, and just no. One of them was like, "Yeah, don't send us anything else."
Oh my days!
And that was about the book, which is down as second best picture book in America, selling picture
book. Get it! That's like when the people go on the Dragon's Den and then they go, "In your face, dragons."
Yeah. And you know what the worst thing about it was? This company, it was their job to actually look at new books.
So Vince, who publishes your books in the States then? Who's the same publisher?
It's the same publisher. It's actually called PDIC, which is Puppy Dogs and Ice Cream.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when they first took me on, they were only a small company. But when I went to Cannes in 2012, when I was there, when I was there, next door on the next tent, I was listening to John Borman, the filmmaker, talk about his films. Next door, they had a little company called Netflix.
Yeah.
And they were promoting themselves. All these young people promote. And I was thinking, why aren't they coming in to see John Borman? Are they idiots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idiot number one. I should have been in that tent going, hello. But that's what this company was like. They found a new approach to publishing. Usually it takes 3 to 5 years if someone takes your book. It takes 3 to 5 years to publish your book. Even though they're promoting it and everything, with these, they could have it out the next month. So you start making money straight away. And they'll put their whole marketing thing behind it. and you know they've got something like 1 million people that they market it to.
Oh wow!
So I think they were a big marketing company before they decided to do kids' books. They started all over again, but they use all their contacts and everything. And they're getting bigger and bigger. I mean, they doubled, tripled in no time, while as all the other publishers are still there. Like, they're like, shoot.
It's like
amazing.
It's like the last bastion, isn't it? The whole publishing houses that, you know, it was very much done a certain way, etc. And they've
very old-fashioned,
times, because people are self-publishing left, right, and centre. We've had a lot of people on here who've written a book or 2 books, that type of thing. We had Dave Fannin on a few weeks ago, who was a fireman actually based in Toxteth, but has been retired some years now and went into health and safety. And he wrote books for children but he did them like for free, you know, just as an educational thing. And then he had to sell them because he self-published them in the end. He wanted children to find out about fire and, you know, and etc. And we've had a few, but we've not had anyone before who's not only published so much, but has had 2,674 knockbacks, which is something else.
I know, because J.K. Rowling at 13, I think it was, and she was going to give up.
Wow.
So
power of resilience.
One guy who had like 300, and he said that he was a record holder or something that was on some program, I was thinking.
Oh yeah, you haven't met me, mate. So what kept you going? What kept you going?
Well, everyone always says to me, you must have a lot of faith in this or faith in your books and stuff. I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'll teach them.
Yeah.
Turn me down, would you? You know, so I'm stubborn. And also, you know what? If you get the Beatles and you look at John and Paul, even if they never had dreams of grandeur at the time, they knew that what they had was good. No matter how many people might come along and go, well, it's not that good. They knew it was. Yeah. And that's what counts. You've got to, it's when you first do your book and you know it's 1,000,000% it's a great book. Why would you think it's not 6 months later or a year later just because other people are saying it's not? If they had the vision for it anyway, wouldn't they have written it themselves and come up with it themselves? You know? And that's it. Yeah. People never recognize it. I mean, the people who turned Harry Potter down in the States, they got fired.
Clearly.
Did they?
Yeah, because a massive publishing company, if you can't recognize that talent and it landed on your desk and you sent back to it and said, no. Because what they did was they checked all the computers, they checked all the stuff that had been bought in. And when they checked and saw the J.K. Rowling, you know, it's like, you don't work here anymore. And your name is mud.
Yeah. I think sometimes as well, it's not the right time, is it?
It's not the right time. That's
you know, and by submitting things again, isn't it? You know, it's sometimes sometimes you'll watch something on the telly and you know, you might be watching like a Netflix series and you watch an episode and you turn it off and you think, oh, you know, and then you know, somebody goes, oh, have you seen this? And you go, oh, I tried that. And they go, oh, you know, and then all of a sudden it's got like 7 seasons and you think, oh, I'll give it another go. And then you watch it the next time and you're in a different frame of mind and you think, this is amazing.
Definitely. I've done that myself a few times. I mean, you know, it's like maybe there's things you've got to, I mean, I learned in those like nearly 10 years, I learned everything. I mean, the wealth of knowledge I've got to do with picture book companies, publishers, agents, this, that, all the things, whys, whats, don'ts, do's. It's a wealth of knowledge and, you know, you're armored with that for the future. And also, you know what, I've got nothing against those companies. If one of those publishers turned around and said, oh, we'd like to publish your other books.
Yes, that's fine.
I'd never mention it. I would never be going,
I told you I was boss.
He say that, he said, keep going on, and then all your critics will be knocking on the door in the end. That's what they always say.
I'd love that. I'd love them to turn up and say, and I'd consider them like it was the first time around.
Vince, how long ago did you approach them with your first book? When did you How long ago?
The very first one, it is like 10 years, nearly 10 years ago, the first book. But the first book I had published was actually a ghostwriting book, a novel. But that was years and years later. So I was doing stuff. We had films, screenplays, we had films, we got funded for movies and all kinds of stuff in between. So I was actually still doing the creative stuff. It's just kids' books, anything like that. The stuff that mattered wasn't going anywhere. But the first one was about 9.5 years ago, 10 years ago. Well, it was just actually 9.5 years ago. It was just after the Cannes Film Festival in 2012.
Wow.
So when you first approached with your first book to when you got the first book published, what was the time frame in that till you got the acceptance and you were like, oh my God, finally?
2020 was when the first one got published, the first kids' book. So, yeah, just all those years. Ugh.
You've done a few quite quickly then, haven't you?
What's that?
So you've moved quite quickly then in recent times.
Yeah. I mean, they've taken on 5 more books, so that'll be 10 by Christmas.
Whoa, get in.
You know, and I've just got 2 more finished, and there's about 4 more which are just working on the artwork and book
That's
covers.
fantastic. Isn't that?
They'll be presented there. But they do turn them down as well. I've got like 3 or 4 of them which they've turned down, which are beautiful books, but they're similar to stories that we have. They've got that have just come in, basically. So they were there first. Fair enough.
How long does it take to roughly? How long do you roughly take to write a book, or does it depend on?
Well, there's a book out there called Smiles, and it's a lovely book. It's just about every kind of smile that is. And it's just very simple. It rhymes and that beautiful kind of coloured pictures. But that took me it took me a day to write it and do the illustrations. Whereas other ones of Dave Frankenstein took 6 months. Yeah. You know, so, but that one took 1 day. So I always think, ooh, royalties off Superman.
There's something in that, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was great. It was like,
they were amazing.
I remember once, little sidetrack, I was doing the Lambananas. Remember Lambananas?
Yeah. Oh,
well, I did 8 of them. And I remember we were in a warehouse doing them.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. What do you mean you did 8 of them?
Well, I did 8. I did the police one. I did the John Lennon in the cream suit with the pink glasses. What ended up at Ronald McDonald House. I did loads of high-profile ones. I was doing the John Lennon one. It was taking ages, and we all kind of got the same money, which was really good money. But the guy next to me, he just painted his in black chalk paint, chalkboard, and then hung some chalks off it. And mine was taking like days and days and days. And he came in and he did his 20 minutes and got the same paint. It was brilliant. All the kids loved it. They were drawn on it. It was So, you know, and that's the way it works. Some things are fast, other things take ages.
My son's interested in writing and that, and he's written a few things non-published. And I said to him, "You need to watch. We've got this guy on the show tonight. He's a writer." And I said, "How many read it?" And he was like, "What?" He couldn't believe it. He laughed his head off because when it was a capital culture. So I took my son and we saw every Lambanana, well, the one that got burnt in Nugent Park, and we went and they just had the little feet there when we went. The policeman was there, and I was like, we went down to London. We got it taken in use. I was upset. We went up Mulfama. We had by the end of it, he hates them now. And everyone, we did it all summer. And I was absolutely obsessed with the Lambananas. I just thought they were the best thing ever. And so the policeman came over to me in Nugent Park, and he said, "Oh, Ronan always says it was the way he broke it to you." And he was like, "No, love, and I was going, "Well, is there another?" And they went, "No, love, that one." I've got a photo of him with every single lamb banana they did. I did a bit
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you know what? The only one that I could name where my one is Liverpool Music down the dock. It's orange and it's got all the different faces on it in black.
Yeah.
And well, that's still there. But you know what you should do? Look underneath the lamb bananas. Because all of us got together and put different things underneath. The one which is the Abbey Road one, I think it is in the, what's it called? Those outfits with the gold braid.
Yeah, with the lapel things on, isn't it? Yeah.
Underneath it's got a porthole with the artist waving.
Oh, cool.
And mine has got a big long dedication to a friend of mine when she had a grandson. When a grandson came along, I put his full name, date, time of birth and everything. So every single one's got something underneath it, and people never look underneath it. Because it was between all the artists.
Well,
that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and no one really knows. No one looks.
The one at the top of Mulvama, which we went up in them, and I had my niece with me at the time, and they were both moaning because it was teeming down. When we got to the top of Mulvama, it was shocking, and it was. And I was saying, and it was done by the local people in that area. And I'm sorry, but it was the worst. Like, we were like that.
Was it in a cage?
No, it had some fringe. It was appalling. It wasn't.
I did go up and see it, but I got on. But there was one in a cage somewhere. So
it wasn't done by kids, was it? And you're saying it was
oh, yeah, she's saying that's shocking that all the kids have done it. It was amazing, kids. Keep going. It was beautiful. Oh yeah, Des Flanagan's listening in, and he says that's a great quiz question.
Which
who created the lamb banana on the top of Mulvama?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Who was he?
I don't know. We'll be on Google.
I met loads of them, but and it was so nice working alongside them because they were every kind of artist you could think of. I mean, graffiti artists, fine artists.
It was. I just think it was one of the best projects ever.
It was a great project, wasn't it?
Such a good thing.
Yeah.
So going back to our books and our plays and things, what do you prefer? Do you prefer writing the book or do you prefer the plays? And what sort of plays and screens and films and things have you had published or made?
So many film screenplays. I've been optioned by all the big ones, from James Keach, who produced Walk the Line, to Swedish top producers and directors. The films have been optioned to bits and no one made them.
Vince, we're available for extra work,
Well, you know what?
Never mind extras. I'm talking about like stars. We're going for extras,
with your own seat with the name on the back.
Yeah, we're very good at singing as well, Vince.
She's joking.
Well, you know what? We're making a series at the moment that me and Chrissy wrote, Chrissy Rock. And we've got an amazing producer, director called Peter Sincere, and it's getting made. He's just amazing. He's on it, and we've got loads of stars out of different. I can't say where they're from, out of different soaps, well-known soaps, big stars,
brilliant.
and other big stars. But at the moment, they don't want anyone to know, because then the soaps that they're in or something will start going, what are you doing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If they're playing a part that keeps going on through the whole series. So but it's looking good. It is
brilliant.
I'm always doing lots and lots of different things. But I like to occupy all my time.
We like that.
Yeah, love creating. That's it.
Yeah. In every way, really, don't you? Because
definitely, yeah. I wrote a play for the BBC Radio 4, the afternoon play it was.
Wow.
Years ago, and it was about, I went to work with these ladies, and it was little ladies tea group, really elderly ladies, and they were brilliant. I went back there for a whole year, voluntary, just going every week. It was in Bootle, Christchurch in Bootle, and I stopped going there because I'd go in there and like another one's passed away.
Yeah.
So in the end, I couldn't take it anymore. It was like every now and again. They were 90 odd years of age and that, but they were amazing. They never went on about the war or anything. They went on about what happened to them in the war, away from the war. Amazing fun things. And I just got inspired and I wrote the play, and Radio 4 took it on and did a whole afternoon play of it, produced it, and so that was a big deal, you know, the afternoon play on Radio 4 after the Archers. That's a big deal.
That's very prestigious, isn't it? Of course,
it totally, and you know the subject matter and everything. They just loved it.
You've made it. Yeah, you've absolutely made it.
Yeah, I'll have a go at anything.
And do you work with any groups like writing or anything like that, or you know, do you go into anywhere in like community centres and work with young people, or do you just write for you?
No, I do. I go into the PAL Centre on Mulgrave Street in Liverpool, which is a Pakistani centre. It used to be known as, and now it's just PAL. And I go into different places, and I do ones with schools in America. And I was teaching at Everton Free School for 9.5 years. Well, 10 years. And I retired from the school. Is that what you call it? It's not really retired. But I left there. I gave them 3 months' notice when the books took off. I'd always said to them, when the books take off, I'll have to go. So I was there for like teaching for 10 years, teaching art with the kids who were problem kids and stuff like that.
And that's like super inspirational because they've all got amazing talents. And if you've got somebody like yourself who can talk about, I've had this rejection, I've had this, and I've kept going and shown resilience, and you know, and I can illustrate and I can write and I can do plays and I can do this. People sort of look and think, well, oh, he's all right, him. If you know, if he can do it, then so you become an inspiration, don't you? You know, to others.
Definitely. And you know what? Someone asked me, if someone says, "Will you do a Zoom to some little school?" And I mean, there was one school, and I noticed them on YouTube, and they were doing my book and going, and I looked it up, the school, and found out that it was basically a really poor school in a place where, you know, the mines had closed, and all these kids were like, they had nothing in the school at all. So they were all chuffed that I put a like on YouTube and that, but I bought them a load of books and just sent them to them. Kids and that. And it was lovely. But there's loads like that. You know, if someone wants me to Zoom, I've done it loads of times. I've done it with students who were like in colleges, you know, a whole classroom of students who were learning writing and stuff like that. Future authors.
That's so kind, Vince, because when I was teaching, I remember trying to get, you know, if you got an author to come, you were ecstatic because the money it costs and everything, you know. So, I'm going to put a comment on this when I share it about the teachers and stuff. That's so kind, and you know, what a lovely thing to do. And it's really inspiring for a child to see and hear the person who's written the book, and you know,
totally, because I'd have loved that myself if someone did that. And you know what, I used to, when I was doing the picture books, I'd be going everywhere for advice. No one was giving me any. So when someone writes into me now or threatens me, and then suddenly I get an inbox letter saying, I've done a book, and I'll take the time to actually bother to give them whatever knowledge they need. You know, I'll tell them whatever they need to know, because no one did with me.
No.
You know, and it's hard. That's why it took so many years. If someone had given me those bits of advice, you jump forward years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really do.
And there's a saying, isn't there, about knowledge, isn't it? Knowledge is power, but when you share it, it's
totally.
There's a little saying, isn't there, where it's like, you know, you can have it yourself, but if you give it to someone else, it's worth like 1,000,000 times more if you share it with somebody.
I have to say, I didn't know there were 2,674 publishers or whatever.
Well, nearly all of them were agents. Rather than publishers. There was a few publishers, but most publishers won't let you get in touch until you've got an agent. So it was nearly the majority were agents, and there's lots of them.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, you're sending it to other countries, to agents all over the place.
Which is cool, isn't it? It is amazing. It's like amazing. It's like what a boss guest, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're like dead lucky, aren't we? Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's like it's funny when you get rejections in Italian and all different ones.
Oh, so Sandra can translate them for you.
I know, let me know if you need anything translating.
Yeah. What does that say? It says no.
Oh.
So we've learned all about you. We could probably talk for hours and hours and hours because you are like super inspirational and amazing, like, you know, with sharing everything with us, which is lovely. But we do have a little bit of a format. So we have a red face moment, okay? Something slightly embarrassing that's happened that could possibly, that people can laugh along with, not at. Wow. So San, have you got a red face this moment?
Yes, I have, which you may not have been aware of. However, so I made the dinner before to have after the show. Ronan's here, and I chopped chilies. And twice in the show, I've gone like that on my eye.
I did see you before. I thought, what she did. I thought you were dreaming of the beans on your eyebrows. I thought that's what it was.
I got chili in my eyes, and I've done it twice on like that. But I did it before. I was teaching someone before. What was I doing? Spanish. And I got it on my eye like that. Like that to the poor kids. She was laughing. There we go. Yeah, so I've done that live. What about you, Helen?
I don't know. I said to you, didn't I? I said, that'll be my red face this week. And I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it was
you and I were walking somewhere.
We went. Where did we go on Friday? We loaded up the loo and we so I had a gift one in the car. Do you remember I said something and we were crying, laughing? I can't even remember what it was, but it was something so stupid.
It was 5 in the morning. We were loading Lou up into the car. Well, Lou is our big interactive play. And I can't even think what you said, but I was gone. We were
crying. I was like, it was like a really stupid thing to say. And I was
I can't think what it was.
Try and laugh where we I'm sticking to me chili one, thanks. That's me embarrassing.
Have you got anything, Vince?
You know what, right? Did you see me at the very beginning of the interview? I had glasses on.
Yeah.
And because of the light over, because it's gone so dark in the living room, the light over the computer, you were like just making the lenses pure white. So I thought, I'll take them off, and I've just had a blare. It's just a blare. I'm like that. I am going blind or something.
That's why you didn't snap us up for your next product.
You'll have to go back and watch it with your glasses, and then we'll get star parts, Sam.
So that's my embarrassing moment. Like that.
That's all right.
Shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've done amazing things. San, have you got any grown-ups?
And you think I'd prepare this because I told Vince already about this before the show.
We'll ask Vince then. Vince, have you got any grown-ups who've done amazing things?
Yeah, I grew up with a guy who's a writer as well. His name's Patrick Graham, and not too long back he got the job on the Echo to do with liaisoning with Liverpool 8 and get more stories about this area and stuff like that. And that's how my story came about in the Echo. He'd written children's books as well, and he knew just what had happened to me and stuff. So he always swore, if I ever get anything, I'm going to write about you. And he finally got there, and then he got in touch. So, shout out to Patrick Graham.
Patrick. Well in.
I've got a few that I've shared on our page this week, Helen, on Success in the City. And one of them is Sophie Clark, who's one of our former guests. And she shared something about Hannah Keeley and herself. They submitted, this is another more creative people in our city, their original song to the International Song for Kindness competition. And there was over 1,500 entries, and they're down to the last 50. And they're going to play it. There's a demo version of the track that was played on Liverpool Live Radio last week. And the official version will be released in early 2022. with more. And
Wow.
this girl is
Fingers
fundraising
round all the sound for them.
masters, and she sings very classical singer. All
She's got a beautiful voice, hasn't she?
Yeah, she got picked to sing at the Miss England thing, and she was the star of the show, wasn't she?
She was amazing, wasn't she?
Which is quite a different thing now. It's all about talent and what you do for charity and stuff. And they were all walking around, and there she is singing in the middle, and she was the absolute star of the show.
She was amazing, wasn't she?
Sophie,
So positive challenge. I'm going to give the positive challenge out this week because we'll quickly run out of time. The positive challenge is going to be go round, find a lambanana and have a look underneath it.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Take a photograph and share it to Success in the City.
Yeah.
And Vince has got a Skillshare and he's got a mantra he lives by as well.
Okay. So Skillshare.
What's a Skillshare?
I don't. It's probably to get an agent if you want to be a writer.
Oh, definitely. You know what? I never got an agent and that, but like it's like everything. If you're at school, well then go to college. I didn't go to college, but you should do. You should go to uni. You should do something like that because doing it my way, it takes forever. Okay, I got there in the end, but do it the right way. Knowledge is everything. And the other share is the saying. You know what? It's by Walt Disney, and it's in a little book that got given to me years ago, and it's on the bedside cabinet, and it just says, all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. Yeah. And that's it. You've got to keep going.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been amazing.
I've loved it. We
needed 2 hours with you, honestly. I just know.
So I'm going to say bye to everybody. Thank everybody. You put your glasses back on now. Thank everybody for listening. Joanna Bretherton says she loves it. So thank you to Vince. Thank you to Sandra. And we will see everybody next week.
Oh, brilliant.